All right, y'all. So we're getting into the burr months. This is the best time to set up your home lab and really get into that and start learning everything you can from a home lab. Because let's not lie, it's getting cold out there. Most of us aren't going to go outside unless we're traveling to some nice tropical location. Because nobody wants to go out when it's snowing. And if you do, let me know down in the comments. I really don't do good with snow. But anyways, what this video is going to be about is setting up your setting up your home lab for the first time using Proxmox and a micro PC that I wish I would have had when I started out. So I have a whole entire Proxmox server sitting out in my garage. It is a full 2U server that draws like 1,000 watts. I swear, it is an expensive little guy or expensive thing to run. And these micro PCs that are coming out, there are a lot. There's a lot there, a lot of power in these things, and I want to take my whole entire home lab and rebuild it all on a mini PC. So I'm going to show you what I've got. I have a Dell Optiplex 7050. This has 16 gigs of RAM. I put in a 500 gig NVMe and a 250 gig SSD. Also, what I did is this has an onboard NIC, which is right here, and it has a secondary NIC that I took out the Wi-Fi card and got a M.2 that will run the Wi-Fi, that will run the new NIC. So now this Dell Optiplex that only came with one, I do have a second NIC, and there was a little pop out right here in this thing, and basically all I did was pop it out, put that up there, and then took these two little brackets that I had and screwed it in so that way it'd be held there. But we're going to use Proxmox on this as our hypervisor. Now the reason we're going to use Proxmox as a hypervisor is because it will allow me, instead of just putting one operating system or one firewall or one media server on this device, I can actually put multiples on here. So with 16 gigs, it is going to be a little bit intensive, but we're going to expand this later down the road. So these things are really awesome. I found a lot of 5 on eBay for like 400 bucks. So definitely go look on eBay, see what you can find them, or see how much you can find them for. They are great little home lab tools, especially if you're getting into it. But let's go ahead and jump over to my desktop so I can show you what we need to do first. All right, so now that we're on my desktop, I just opened my browser and went to google.com. And then I'm just going to search up Proxmox, if I can spell. And I'm going to go to proxmox.com. And then I'm going to click on downloads. And right here, I'm going to download, as of this video, this is 9.0, or the 9.0. So I'm going to download Proxmox 9. Hit download. Once I've gotten that downloaded, what I'm then going to do is I have a tool called Rufus, and you can actually download that by just going back to Google and typing in Rufus. This is what I use to create my ISOs. Nope. Type in Rufus USB. And you're going to see this rufus.ie. Click here and go to downloads. And then you're going to download, if you're on Windows, which I believe it only works for Windows, you're going to download just this top one. Once you have that downloaded, type in Rufus in your search bar, and you're going to see Rufus EX 4.6 EXE. Open that up, and you're going to click on Yes. And then you're going to plug a USB into your computer. And I know that mine is the multiple partition 32. I'm going to leave this disk or ISO, and then we're going to hit select. I'm going to find that Proxmox 9. Click open. We're going to say OK, and then we'll click start. Once we click start, it'll tell you that it's going to erase all of the data off of that, which it's fine. Make sure that that USB is something that you want to actually wipe and it doesn't have important stuff on there. Once it's complete, it'll tell you that it's ready. And you can actually close this out, eject that, plug it into your little mini PC or your laptop, whatever device you're using. So I'm going to go ahead and plug all of everything up into my mini PC. You plug power into it. You will also need a mouse and a keyboard plugged into this. So if you got a wireless, it'll work great. And we are not going to plug this into a network right at the moment. So it will be a complete offline install. You also need a monitor too. So you need a keyboard, USB, monitor, and power, and mouse. So now let's jump over to the little mini PC. And the first thing that I want to check on that is as soon as I power it on, I want to start pressing the F2 button because I want to get into my BIOS. Once we're in my BIOS, what I want to go to is power management. I want to add that, and I'll do AC recover. And then I want to change this to power on. So the reason that I'm changing that to power on is, let's say I lose power somewhere in my house. I'm going to be running everything in my Homelab off of this. So firewalls, maybe a media server, even storage. And eventually it may become production and run my whole entire house. But I want to make sure that it's always going to power on no matter what happens, if there's a power outage and all of that. Once we make sure that says power on, we're going to go ahead and hit exit, and we're going to start pressing F12. And then we're going to find that UEFI scan disk, which is going to be mine. Yours may say something different. Just look for the USB. Now, once you get here, you're going to see install Proxmox VE. I like the graphical way. We're going to hit I agree. Click next because I do want to use the 250 gig. Click next. My country, I'm going to put United States. I'm in America, Chicago. And that's your time zone. Then we're going to set our root password. And then we do need to put a valid email in here. Click next. I'm going to name this PVE1.local. I'm going to give it an IP address of 192.168.1.11/24. I'm going to change this IP to 192.168.1.1.1. And I'm going to do the DNS as 1.1.1. Just for now, we can change this later once we get our own DNS server set up. But right now, we'll set it to Cloudflare. And also, the reason that I did set this up to 192.168.1 is because I do not have this connected to a network or anything. And I want to make sure that I am able to connect to this because I'm going to put a firewall on here, and I know by default that firewall is going to be 192.168.1.1 is going to be that firewall. So I'm kind of doing some preparation right here in the beginning so that I don't get myself locked out. So we can click next, and we're going to click install. All right, now that that's installed, it's going to reboot, and if you watch on the screen, it should tell you to remove that. So we're going to remove that USB, and we're going to plug our Ethernet cable. So you do need an Ethernet cable. We're going to plug the Ethernet cable into our computer. So what happens now is I've got an Ethernet cable plugged in to my Proxmox server into one of the ports. I hope I got it into the right one, and I plugged the other one into my computer. So now we need to switch over to my computer. We got to do some changes so that we can talk with this thing. So I want to come over here to my network and go to network in this. And then I want to go to Ethernet. I want to change my IP assignment to manual. And then do IPv4 192.168.1 dot. We're just going to make this 100. Subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.0. My gateway is going to be 192.168.1.1. My preferred DNS is going to be 1.1.1.1. Say save. Okay. And if you have it plugged into the right port, whichever one it is, where you kind of go in there and select, I had to switch mine. But once you get it plugged into that port and you change that, and you put in that IP address, so I got 192.168.1.11, port 8006, you're going to come up to your connection is not private. That is okay. That is just Proxmox. That it's not a signed certificate. So we're going to hit advanced. And we're going to go to proceed. Now we're going to put in root and then that password that we just created. You do not have a valid subscription for the service. This is because we are using the Proxmox Community Edition or the Dev Edition. Now, Proxmox is a great organization, and I do highly suggest going and getting a subscription, but they are also a great company and allow us to use these in our Homelab. And you can go ahead and click OK. Now, as you can see, we have Proxmox. This is now our virtual machine. And the really cool part about Proxmox is I can create any VM I want to on this. If I wanted to create a Windows computer, I can create a Windows computer. If I wanted to create a firewall on here, I can create a firewall on here. And this is really the best part about home labbing is I can take a little small device like this and put a program or an operating system on it like this, a hypervisor that will allow me to start building VMs, building networks, and really learning IT and having fun and learning to enjoy IT. So if you like watching Proxmox install setting up your home lab for the first time, I am going in a complete series going to rebuild this whole entire network using, for right now, one OptiPlex Pro or OptiPlex 7050. And so like and subscribe, and in the next video we are going to do a firewall so that way you can get disconnected to the internet and protect all of your personal laptop, have it running directly to it, and maybe create some VMs. Like I said, DNS, a media server, so Plex or Jellyfin. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.